November 5th, yesterday, in addition to Election Day, of course, was my first birthday. My second first birthday. I was reborn 1 year ago on November 5th. I had a ceremony in the deep woods of Iowa, and I gave my life to God officially. I had a very nice ceremony. I built a big fire. I stripped down naked and put my bare skin on the bare earth. I laid down my life, literally. And I asked God to make His will my own. His will, her will, its will, our will, the will of God. I wanted to give up my own selfish pursuits and desires in exchange for God's desires. Because I realized that I was sick, and that the only way for me to heal was to let go and surrender. And I realized that humanity is sick, and that the earth is sick, and that we are a part of this earth, and in large part why we're sick is because we've denied that, and we've separated ourselves from the rest of nature, and we've turned our backs on God, and we've decided to do our own thing. So I realized that all of that was why I was sick, and that my only hope was to admit that I knew nothing and to let go and let God. And that's what I did on November 5th, 1 year ago yesterday. And I find it very interesting. God takes us seriously. God's always listening. So Satan. And we're always doing the will of one kind of light. Either God, the light of God is running through us because we're vessels of light, or the imitation of God's light, which is the light of Lucifer, and it's the light that leads to darkness. And from the moment I gave my life to God, God began to speak to my heart very loudly. And I could hear the voice, and I have been able to hear the voice of God since that moment very clearly. I spent almost 2 years completely cut off from God. That's hell. God brought me to my knees. He gave me another chance. And the theme of this last year has been, for me, has been to shine light on things that have been done in the darkness. That's what I've been doing since I came out of the woods. That's what I've been called to do by God, is to speak the truth. And a lot of people in my community who I thought were my friends turned their back on me when I began to speak the truth, because they didn't want to hear it. Because in acknowledging the truth of certain situations, they would have to admit that they were either complicit in bad things, or they would have to walk away from some situation or some person from which they were benefiting. And in that way, I've been shown by God who my real people are, who my real friends are. It's been hard to lose so many people, but at the same time, it's a blessing to know the truth. Because now I can allow and attract God's people. And God has been bringing me His people. We're finding each other. I feel like this is what's happening. This is the theme in general of this year. If you look at the world stage, that's also what has been occurring. the darkness, the things that have been happening behind closed doors, underground, literally, in tunnels, the trafficking of humans, the sexual abuse of children, the corruption in our pharmaceutical companies, the medical industry, the food system, government at every level. It's rotten. But all of this is being exposed. It's been called out. And there's no way that a person anymore can plead ignorance. At this point, you're being willfully ignorant if you're not acknowledging what's been going on in the world. And I'm so happy because, yes, I think in some ways things will get worse. And by worse, I just mean they will appear worse because they're already bad. It's just we've been distracted from how bad things are. And so when you have to look at the ugliness, that's scary. And so things will become, I think, scary for a while and disillusioning. And people are going to have to rethink their entire life if they want to be right with God. Because a lot of people, their life is rooted in and founded upon a very sick, twisted system, which is exploiting children and humans in general. And that's the way things have been going for quite a while. The people in power in this world, the majority of the people in power, they have dark hearts. They have dark minds. But that's changing now. God is here. The light of God is revealing all of that. And now that we know the truth, we can do better. We can choose better. We have an obligation to do that. We have free will. So if you choose not to do that, if you choose not to acknowledge reality and you choose not to fight the good fight, that means you're fighting on the side of darkness. Those are your only two options, and it's not a choice not to choose. Like, you don't get that luxury. Because your hand will be forced by the darkness if you don't choose. God doesn't force anybody. The light doesn't force. The light allows us to choose. It reveals the truth of the situation, and then God allows us to choose our course of action. The darkness manipulates, it enslaves, it forces, it coerces. That's what's been going on in the world. Many of us have been slaves to that system. But God is setting us all free right now. He's opening the door to the cage, to the prison. And a lot of people have fallen in love with their prisons. They've fallen in love with their slavery, and there will be people who choose to stay in the darkness because they feel safe there. Because it's what they know. We're about to step into a bit of the unknown. Those of us who are on the side of God, it's kind of scary. But at the same time, it's exciting. I'm telling you guys, things are going to be changing for the better. I know this in my heart. I know it, and I'm very excited. And for me, in my own personal life, I see the tropics. I see a beautiful food forest. I see community. I see abundance. I see abundance for many, many people. God's people are rising up.